Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Loveridge, and I'm a co-founder and the chairman of Invex Therapeutics Limited, and will chair today's meeting. Online, we have directors Professor Alexandra Sinclair, Executive Director, Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder, Dr. Tom Duthie, Executive Director, Mr. David McAuliffe, Non-Executive Director, Dr. Megan Baldwin, Non-Executive Director, and Narelle Warren, Company Secretary. On behalf of the board, we are pleased that you have taken the time to attend online, and thank you for support of the company. Given the significant health concerns attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, in addition to guidelines and restrictions issued by the respective Australian state and federal governments, the company considers that it is appropriate to hold this general meeting as a virtual meeting, in a manner that is consistent with the no action position from the Australian Securities and Investment Commission issued on Monday, 29 March 2021, relating to the convening and holding of virtual shareholder meetings. Before commencing with the formal part of today's meeting, being the approval of the options to Dr. Megan Baldwin, I would now like to introduce Dr. Baldwin to our investors. Dr. Baldwin is CEO and Managing Director of Opthea Limited, a late-stage biopharmaceutical company developing a novel therapy to address the unmet need in the treatment of retinal eye diseases, including wet age-related macular degeneration, or wet AMD. Dr. Baldwin is an experienced biotech executive having over 20 years experience working on therapeutic drug development programs for cancer and ophthalmic indications. Under Dr. Baldwin's leadership, Opthea has rapidly advanced its ophthalmology program through phase 1 and phase 2 clinical development and added to the S&P ASX 300 in June 2020, and in October 2020 completed a $180 million initial public offering and listing on the US NASDAQ exchange to progress 2 pivotal phase 3 studies in wet AMD. We were naturally delighted that Megan decided to join the board effective 16th of February 2021 as a non-executive director. And at today's meeting, we are seeking approval to issue Megan 400,000 incentive options in the company to align her interests with Invex and that of our shareholders. So welcome, Megan, to today's meeting and as a director of Invex. Invex remains in a solid financial position with 33.6 million in cash as of the 31st of December 2020, which is sufficient to fund a single phase 3 clinical study for Presendin for registration in Europe and potentially the US, dependent on FDA feedback. We look forward to a productive year ahead at Invex. Moving now to the formal part of the meeting, and set out the notice of meeting. So can I have the next slide? I think it's slide 2, thank you. The notice of general meeting was mailed to all registered shareholders on 8th of March 2021 and is to be taken as read. Voting today will be conducted by way of a poll on all items of business. Please note that the online voting portal is now open and will remain open until the poll is declared closed. Your votes must have been submitted prior to the poll being closed for them to count. For the purposes of the poll, I appoint Jamie Hobbs of Automic Group, the company's share registry, who have examined and prepared summaries of the proxy forms received to act as the returning officer and to conduct the poll. Shareholders in attendance via Zoom that have already submitted a vote by proxy should note that your votes will already be counted towards the poll. You do not need to lodge another vote unless you wish to change your proxy instruction. Shareholders in attendance via Zoom that have not submitted a vote by proxy and wish to vote on the resolutions being put to the meeting today can do so by following the instructions provided in the notice of meeting and as displayed on screen now. Please note that the online voting portal is now open and will remain open until the poll is declared closed. Your votes must have been submitted prior to the poll being closed for them to count. You will have received a copy of the resolution with your notice of general meeting. The notice of meeting contains a total of 1 resolution. Before I put this resolution to shareholders, Details of the proxy votes received will be displayed on the screen. I inform the meeting that as chairman, I intend to vote any open proxies I hold in favor of the resolution. Proxies have been inspected and all those validly lodged have been accepted. Proxies have been received representing approximately 8.1 million shares, or 11% of the issued capital of the company. Resolution 1, issue of incentive shares to Director Dr. Megan Baldwin. The first and only item at today's meeting is Resolution 1, which is a binding resolution. That, for the purposes of Listing Rule 10.14, and for all other purposes, approval is given for the company to issue up to 400,000 options to Dr. Megan Baldwin or their nominee under the incentive option plan on the terms and conditions set out in the exemplary statement. The results of the proxy votes have been tabulated on the slide. I inform the meeting that as chairman, I intend to vote any open proxies I hold in favor of this resolution. Are there any questions on this resolution? Please submit your questions via the Q&A function on your screen. I now put the resolution to the meeting as a binding resolution. Please submit your votes via the online portal, and given that this is the only resolution at today's meeting, you may click Next and follow the instructions to submit your vote once you have voted for this resolution. I will now address any additional questions asked by shareholders at today's meeting and would ask our Executive Director, Dr. Tom Duthie, to read out the questions as asked by the shareholders, and I will respond accordingly. Please go ahead, Tom.
At this current juncture, we're not displaying any questions to the chair of the meeting. I'll pause for another 30 seconds. We have no questions displayed. Jason, I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, Tom. That concludes the resolutions to be voted on today. As noted, we are conducting a poll on all resolutions. I note the poll is already open. Can all shareholders voting online please now ensure they have submitted their votes? I will allow another minute before the poll is closed. If you have any questions in relation to the submission of online votes, please send them to the Q&A function now. Thank you. Voting is now closed. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no further formal business, that completes the business of the general meeting, and I declare the meeting closed. The results of the poll will be announced to the ASX once they are available. Thank you for your attendance today. We look forward to keeping you all abreast of our progress throughout 2021.